Hi guys, and welcome back to Big Data for Engineering. In today's tutorial, we're going to deal with the same data pipeline again. You think, okay, I'm just sick of this data pipeline, why we still need to work on it? Well, from last week, you kind of know how to follow the instruction to put it up and how to run the data pipeline. But then you might wonder, okay, if I'm going to build it from scratch, or if I want to incorporate more API into the data pipeline, how am I going to do that? So this tutorial is actually just trying to deep dive into the data pipeline and trying to get you understand how to solve those problems. This is very important for your assignment one. I intentionally picked this one because I think it's very important any one of you know how to build a data pipeline, particularly using Docker and Kafka. Okay, before we moving on to the data pipeline, I just want to do a little bit a quick tutorial to be exact on Cassandra DB. We don't have much time to talk about Cassandra DB because I always focus more on data pipeline, but I think it's a good introduction because Cassandra DB push between the traditional relational database compared to the NoSQL database. So just introduce a little bit on the syntax. We're going to open the README file here. Inside the folder of Cassandra, there's a README tutorial for. You can open that. Well, I don't want you to spend hours to set up Cassandra on your local machine just for one tutorial. That's why I'm going to use the same Docker container that we built for the Kafka pipeline for that tutorial. Now let me copy this command here, just the Docker compose command here, and then put up the containers similar to what we did before. This is going to be quick because I already got the builder and the volume. Now I'm just opening up the container. Inside the container, I open the command line interface, and I'm going to go into the Cassandra query language shell here. Okay, now let's begin on Cassandra DB. So some of you here actually have not studied about MySQL from the practical database concept. I hope you study MySQL from some other course. But if you don't study it, it's very simple. This create key space, which means create a new database. If not exist, which means it's check if it's not exist yet, it will create, otherwise it will not running this command. Then we create the key space name cycling, replication factor 1, and symbol strategy here. So just hitting that. After that, we go into tell Cassandra query language shell that we're going to use the cycling. You can either use cycling like this, and then after that you don't need to attach the cycling to each of the table name here, or you can just attach this to here. Either way would be fine. Okay, now we're going to create our first table inside this cycling key space. So the table name is cyclist team. It has 4 columns. The first one is ID. It is a unique ID type, and it is primary key. Then we got last name and first name, both of them are text. Then the fourth column would be teams here. The data type would be a map, and the map would be the key value pairs between integer and text here. Integer here would be the year, and then the text would be the name of the team that the cyclist was on. So I'm just going to create the table, and similarly we go into insert data into the table here, column name, and then the values are listed here. Okay, we already insert one data into it. Now let's check on the data. It's good. We can see that it's the JSON format type of data here in the map. Also, Cassandra DB supports select JSON natively, which means you can just output the information here as the as the JSON format, which is very handy in terms of trying to get the information and do some data processing. This is how it's going to output. Okay, now if we want to update some items inside the map, either we add new item in or we want to update the item by the map key, we can do so. Very simple. So the first one here would be updating the cyclist team by trying to add the new key value pairs here, the 2009, into the teams column. So we just get the current data for the teams column, for the team columns, and then just plus it with the new key value pair. And of course, we need the condition to know which row we are updating on the table. So just put in that. Okay, let's check the data again. Now you see we got 2009 inside the teams column data for this user, this cyclist here. You can update the item by the map key as well. Very similar way. Just go into call the update, the table, set on the team. Then we go into slide inside the map here using the key 2009 and just update the name of the team here. And of course the condition with ID. Checking the data again, so now you see the new name would be Team DSB compared to the old name that we got before. Okay, we can also delete one item from the map, like this one. I need to copy it better. So we go into delete 2009 from the table. And we go into check it to make sure it's already removed. Okay, so now we only got 2011, 12, 13, 14, and 15 left. Now let's say we want to delete multiple items. The way we do it is calling this little map formula here. Before, when we try to add, we're just doing the addition. Now we're just trying to do the subtraction using the key here. Okay, not good. I'm terrible at copying. Now we already got this. Let's double check. Okay, Bob 2013 and 14 have been removed. I know in this tutorial we don't have much time to dive deep into Cassandra DB. I would recommend you to follow on the documentation on here and trying to follow the steps for other data type as well, such as the tuples, different user defined type here, or set. All of these are kind of interesting to me, even though it might not be useful unless you find a company that going to be very specific on Cassandra DB. Normally, like all of these skills are transfer learning, which means you learn about one NoSQL database, then you can easily catch up on other type of NoSQL database. I think I will dive a little bit deeper into the MongoDB one. Okay, so that's it for Cassandra. Going back to the pipeline where all the funds will be. Now I'm just closing this one. I don't need it. Inside the Faker API and the README tutorial 4. We're going to do step by step. The first one is trying to create a new schema that's called schema Faker here. So I'm just copy this one, create a new file, and then just save it inside the Cassandra folder. Just save it as schema, and then Faker. Okay, to explain this a bit, it's going to use the Kafka pipeline, and then we go into create table, if not exit. If you want to be like 100% sure, just create a table like Kafka pipeline like this, and then save it. Next one, we go into update the Docker file to include the schema, the new schema here. So it would be schema figure, and then save the Docker file. So if we going to do this from scratch, which means you're going to do this from the beginning, what you need to do beside that is trying to put it into the bootstrap here to create it in the beginning. However, because we don't want to run the whole things again, we go into kind of cheating and just running the query is to create a table. Well, you can totally copy this and create. If you have any error running the schema, it's totally fine to just copy this and create a new table manually in Cassandra DB. But let's try this one first. Hopefully it will work. Okay, so now let's try to run the Docker compose again, but with the build tag here. Okay, it's running and it's going to build a new thing here. We can double check. Okay, good. We got the schema figure here. That should be done. Now again, go inside the command line interface of Cassandra. We go into run this command, which eventually will run the schema figure to generate the data. Okay, that's because we hitting this too fast. My Docker has not up and running for this yet. That's good. Now let's try to go inside here. Let's try to use Kafka pipeline and select start from Docker. Okay, just use Kafka pipeline and then select start from Figure data, and that's it. If you want, just double check on other data. It should still be there even when you run the rebuild tab. If you don't remove the volume, then you should still be able to see all of this data. If you remove the volume, then you have to do the pulling data again, which should not be the case. In our case, we want to demonstrate that we can incorporate a new API without messing up with the current database. Let's say like that. Okay, so that's finished with the Cassandra. Now let's move on to the Kafka Connect. The one that we need to update in the Kafka Connect is trying to update the create Cassandra sync here. Okay, so inside the Cassandra sync, if you remember from last time, we need to tell, okay, which one here from the schema, the name here, address and year, we go into use for the Cassandra DB, and then which value from the JSON format file that we going to pull through from Kafka. Okay, so if you want, you can manually do this. I can manually do this so you guys can see the step. Then I'm going to copy the one from here just in case I miss something. Okay, so just echo and then figure data inside here. Instead of weather sync, I just call it figure here, and then going to be easy, going to get the, yeah, just call it figure sync. This doesn't matter for this one. Topic would be figure, and this one should be figure as well, and this one should be figure. And instead of weather report, this is the table name. I need to call it figure data. Instead of weather report, this will be figure data as well. Okay, all of this value, we don't need that much. We only need 3, which means name. I'm going to keep the name consistent for this case so that it's easier to remember. Address. And then year. And then we can remove the rest of other fields here that we don't need. Okay, here's the save button. You can double check on both of these. I think I want to double check this, because if you miss out on this, it's going to be terrible. Well, in any case, if you are not sure and if you want to be safe, you can just try to copy the whole things here. It should be exactly the same. Yep, I think so. It's just different line. Okay, so that's create Cassandra sync. Now we need to follow the same step again, which means trying to build the Kafka Docker and then go inside the Kafka Connect and then run the style and wait shell script and checking on the Kafka miniature as well. So one step at a time. Go inside here, running the Docker command view again. Okay, let me do a better job with copying. So it's going to review the Kafka Connect with the new create Cassandra sync. Okay, it's up and running. Let's go inside here, Kafka Connect. Go inside the command line interface. And then again, double check. We still have two files here. Let's run the star and wait shell script. So this basically not up yet. That's why it's still waiting. Okay, it's create Twitter sync, weather sync, and figure sync. All good. Exactly the same step like before. We go to the Kafka miniature on localhost 9000. Add cluster, and then cluster name is my cluster here. Zookeeper 81, and then check on JMX, home consumer, and active offset cache here. Click save. Now go to cluster view. Now you will see you got a topic: Figure, Twitter sync, weather sync. Okay, going back to the tutorial. Now let's move on and create the figure producers. So there are many ways that we can do this. Either we can start from scratch, writing everything using the figure API folder that I provided, but it's going to be tedious and time consuming. I'm going to utilize a bit of the code that I use for the open weather map producers. This way we can try to reuse a bit of code as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one and just going to rename it to figure producer. Inside the figure producer, I'm going to delete the config here because we don't need it anymore. We go into rename this one to figure producer, and we go into update every single file in here for the figure producer to work. Okay, let's do it one by one using the figure one first. Figure producer, sorry, figure producer.py here, and delete, not delete, sorry, close everything just to make it cleaner. Now I did try to recreate this multiple times, so I know the step. If you're not sure, you can just copy the file here to make sure you don't have any errors, but I'm going to do it step by step so you understand what I did. First of all, let's remove everything related to weather. So just update the name here, remove all of the config, and then the get weather function, this whole bit here. Next one, we're going to remove the bit about location, weather, get weather, blah blah blah. That's it. Okay, we're going to update the sleep time because we only need 5 seconds for figure. It's okay to get more data from figure because it's relatively stable. It's just a Python module. We don't need location here also, and because we update sleep time, I kind of don't want to keep this thing like this, so just remove this line as well and update the sleep time in the time of sleep here, so it don't quack anything. Next one, we're going to do the, okay, any other things that still sticking around? Okay, let's remove the data pipe as well. Everything related to the factor should be gone first, and then we name some of these to make it a little bit more accurate. This factor data, and this figure data as well. Figure data. Next one, if we want to produce the figure, of course we need the function here, get, which is the user. So I'm going to get everything from here, put them inside here. So that's the function that we're going to need. Then inside the producer, I have the hint on how we're going to call the function and send it using the producer from Kafka. So I'm going to get this bit of code here and put it inside here. So in here we got two producer, just going to delete one, but keep the topic name because we want to put it into the correct topic name, otherwise Cassandra Sync won't be able to recognize it. Okay, so that's the thing about getting the correct information. Next one, let's go on and do the JSON serializer. So if you're looking at here, the open weather map, they got the ASCII, but for the figure data, we actually need to do the JSON serializer here. So either you can try to put the function in, but for me, maybe I can just try to run this one instead directly inside this lambda function and update this to x here. Okay, that should be it about that. Last thing, because we have JSON here, I don't want to crack the import. That's why I need to import JSON as well. Okay, after you've done everything, try to do a quick reread of everything here, because if you miss something, then you have to go back and do the review of Docker, which is kind of annoying. Of course, you can always copy this thing and supposedly it will work without error, but let's do it this way so you understand what you need to update. Okay, next one, requirements. Instead of data prep, we're going to use the figure Dockerfile. Instead of open weather map producer, we use the figure producer and Docker compose.yaml. So all of this needs to be updated to the correct name. And we only need 5 here. Okay, that should be it. Now let's try to run the command to put it up. Okay, building figure, it should be quick because we have most of the layer already. Okay, figure producer is up. You can click inside it and you will see here is keep sending new name every 5 seconds. Relatively quick. You can leave that warning, it doesn't hurt. So next one, we're going to deal with the consumer. So what we're going to do, very similar, we're going inside the consumer in here. And we're going to duplicate the, oops, not this one, the consumer, the weather consumer inside the Python file. So I'm just going to duplicate it and now call it the figure consumer. Okay, let's open the figure consumer, see what we're going to need to update in there. Okay, everything is here is still saying okay, figure here, just update that. We actually don't need the CSV backup. This is one of my own code just to test that thing. We can totally remove all of this related to the path thing here and the backup CSV file. We don't need any of those. Okay, so inside here, instead of all of this, we need to indicate information about this, getting the correct Kafka Pocket URL. That's why here we just double check. Okay, I'm good to topic name. Yep, we got the topic name from Figure. So this is the only thing that we need to update, because only the topic name needs to be updated. The Cassandra sync will automatically know where to get this from. So here it says that we should get the topic name from the Docker Compose YAML, but I want to be sure. That's why I got the second variable here, just to make sure that it's going to get the correct figure name. Okay, let's just copy this whole thing just to be safe. But you kind of know exactly what you need to update in here. Basically just the Kafka topic and then update it, the topic name. So moving back up, the Docker file and the Docker Compose YAML that we're going to need to edit in the consumer. Let's deal with the Docker Compose YAML first. We just going to go inside the Docker Compose YAML in the consumer like this. Duplicate the home where the consumer. Okay, updating the indentation. Instead of where the consumer, I just call this figure consumer. Container name will be figure consumer. It will still pull the image from the Twitter consumer here. Poker URL still the same. Topic name will be figure. Cassandra host. Kafka pipeline, and now it will run the figure consumer in the pipeline folder. And that should be it. You can double check with this one. It should be the same. Now that's it. We just need to review the consumer with the tag view. So I'm going to run this using the tag view here. Okay, the consumer will be up and running. We're not running the Twitter and the open weather map here. You can run that after this. But let's see if I got some figure data in here first. It's still sending, but nothing in the figure consumer. Did I miss any step here? I don't think I missed any step. Let me try to go into the Cassandra to see whether we got it in the Cassandra yet. Oh, I think I still got the Cassandra up and running here, so don't need to do that. I actually got the figure here. Yeah, I just think I forgot to add the printout. I should add the printout in the consumer, but anyway, I think that should be good enough. We don't need to print that out. Okay, last one that we're going to check is the data visualization. It's going to be hard for me to explain all the different changes in the Cassandra util.py because that's a lot. You should be able to do the comparison between the old file and the new file to see all the changes. For now, for simplicity, I'm just going to get you the correct Cassandra util.py from my other Git repo, which is the solution for this one. So just inside here, go into the data visualization and go inside the Cassandra util, and I'm just going to copy everything and put it into the current Cassandra util in our folder. This one, okay. To in the data visualization, in the Python, and in the Cassandra routine here, just everything. Just to explain this a little bit, what I did is basically duplicate lots of things for figure table, duplicate this line of code to get figure data, figure table going to be defined here. Then down here we're going to do the get figure df. I also have the save figure data df in here as well. So get figure df. There's another if else condition for figure, and is I also trying to update the list of source table here for figure as well. So that's basically all of the update that I did. Okay, save that file. Then what we're going to do is that we just going to update this one here. Before that, I need to update the data visualization to add the figure data in this as well. So that's what I'm going to do. Data visualization, Dockerfile, not Dockerfile, sorry, the Docker Compose.yaml. I click the wrong one. That should be it. Putting this up. Okay, let's just open a new one. I think I need the tag review, but anyway, let's double check. I think I'm missing the tag to review there. Yep, definitely need the review tag. My bad. So if you go into on this, remember that you need to have the view tag. I'm going to update that instruction anyway. Okay, so now we got the figure table. Now inside here, just run this bit of code first. But instead of trying to get Twitter, I'm going to try to get the figure one. So just call this figure and get figure data. And then just print out figure for everyone to double check on the data here. That should be it. Okay guys, so that is the end of the tutorial 4. You can try to continue this and put up the producer for both Twitter and the open weather map as well, and see all of the 3 data stream coming in. Relatively easy. If you hit any error, again trying to hit me up. If you need any help, maybe try to contact me during the tutorial session first. Other than that, then you can always book consultation with me. Okay, thanks you guys for joining this tutorial, even though it sounds like me talking to myself a lot, but I hope you enjoy building a lot of data pipeline, because we're going to build a lot of data pipeline in this course, which is fun for me. Anyway, thank you guys. Now I'm going to tear this down. You guys don't need to watch the teardown. You kind of know how to do on the teardown anyway, so don't need to. And I will see you in class. And let's wait for my next tutorial video, which is on MongoDB. Bye guys.